right, welcome in everybody. It is Thursday afternoon, so you know that means it's Line Breakers FC. We got Copa America going on right now, but we will be live on the Euro knockout stage preview and our best bets. Man, came perfect timing. Matches kick off Saturday. So, as usual, here with AJ, brought to you by thebreakdownsports.com. Give us a follow on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter if you're watching us on one of the other outlets. Need you covered everywhere. AJ, how you doing?
Dude, feeling great. The group stages had some good matches. Knockouts are going to provide some more good matches. And Jadon Sancho finally got some playing time. So I'm hyped for that, and I'm ready for the knockout stages.
Yes, sir. If you want to recap knockout stages with us, hit up AJ or I. We'll host a space, get in our DMs, we'll tweet about it. But we're just going to go straight into the knockout round where, man, these matches finally matter. It is great. We won't see teams sitting back. I mean, there are so many different strategies. We didn't see any team tank, which we've seen teams do it before where in soccer it's much harder to throw a match, but if they know they get a draw, they won't advance and they like the path a little bit better. But we got some spicy matchups coming here for you. But let's just talk overall. Easiest path. That right side's easy money, right?
Agreed. I don't know how the left side came out. I don't know what happened there, but that right side, definitely the easiest path. Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm just screwing with you. The left side's the easy one. I was just seeing how worked up you were because the right, it depends. You could do top bottom, but the side, yeah, I know. I was trying to trip you up there. I shouldn't be doing that as the host. But the side that has the Italy on it, I think that's the much easier path when you're taking through it. The easiest one just altogether is if you get into that the most bottom one with Netherlands, Czech, Wales, Denmark. I mean, the De Boer jokes are just being ready to write themselves. But, I mean, Memphis Depay is playing out of his mind. This team's actually playing extremely well. I got to eat my crow on this one because I was low on them. But that group was kind of easy. They're looking much better than I expected to. So shout out to them. So you could kind of just say them not making it to probably the semis would be a huge disappointment for the Aranje.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think you got to take it with a grain of salt just because of that group. I wouldn't say it was the easiest group, but arguably one of the easier groups out of all of them.
All right, will a match get determined by a PK in this knockout stage? Will we go the full 90? Will we go another 30? And then will we have to go to the dreaded PKs?
If there is a line for that, and if you could find an odds on that, I'm going to have to say yes on that.
So, you remember what they used to do before PKs were instituted?
What was that?
In Euros, before they determined the overtime winner before PKs, do you know what they did?
I do not. Refresh my memory.
So, in 1968, Italy won the Euros, or won a match to advance to the Euros. They flipped a fucking coin. I'm not bullshitting you. You can look it up. Euros used to be determined by a coin flip.
That I don't even know what to say about that. That is actually terrible.
So that's why when some people say they don't hate PKs, I don't hate PKs either. If that's the alternate option.
I think I would just hate penalties just because of the amount of pressure and United losing in the Europa League on penalties. But I think losing on a 50-50 coin flip would have to be the worst case scenario.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, UEFA probably had that. I don't know if UEFA was around in the 60s, but yeah, I remember reading that. So let's get into right before we preview our matches and get to our best bets, we're going to talk about two matches where I do not have a hungry dog runs faster, but if we were to have a potential underdog, you can maybe play this team to advance. Maybe we like this team on the money line. We'll give our reasonings for this, but we have some upsets to watch for. So, AJ, kick it off. What's your upset to watch for?
So my first upset is Wales versus Denmark. I'm going to go ahead and take Wales to advance. I think they sit around plus 400 on the money line. I don't think this gets done in regulation. I think this is something that takes either extra time or penalties. I just like this Wales side a lot. In the group stage, they showed tough against teams where everyone wrote them off. They have goal scorers. They have a big name in Bale, and I think they do get some result here against Denmark. Denmark did look strong, especially after Eriksen and everything that happened with him. But I do think this is a spot where Wales do pull off the upset.
So this is the one match that if I had to circle one to completely stay away from, and it's the worst because it's the first one and I want action on it and I know I'll end up having action, this is just my biggest don't touch because everyone kind of did write off Wales, but I have to give them the props. They showed up throughout that group stage and got results where they needed. Sure, they dropped points to England, but every other match they did what was needed to be done. So got to give them a shout out for that. And yeah, the plus 424 is a pretty nice price. Denmark, I don't want to say their high's running out. I don't believe this game will be in Copenhagen, which has been a huge bump for Denmark because, sure, it's not full capacity, but playing at home, playing in stadiums that you're familiar with, that definitely works. This one's in Amsterdam, so not much further away.
Still an away random stadium for both teams.
Yep, so can't really knock you for this one with Wales. You just got to have to hope that Aaron Ramsey shows up and has just been the play creator he's been this whole time. And even with Denmark, the thrashing that they gave, I just think to Turkey, it's just where that's where this minus 121 is coming from. I definitely think they should be favorites. The more I think about it, maybe the minus 121 is right because I'm just guessing if they had Eriksen here, this would probably be sitting closer to like minus 140. I don't think one player is worth 20 cents, but I just think the connotation in Vegas knowing they would make it a little bit bigger. But yeah, I like this Wales pick here. I definitely do think this one does go to extra time, but we have an over 2 juice, which kind of says it might not. All right. You like the Welsh. I'm picking the Czech Republic. As I alluded to, we're going peak Twitter gets to dance on somebody that's not Ben Simmons, Frank de Boer, take my attention away from it. We'll go with the Netherlands to lose this one. I think this one does happen in regulation. It's literally almost the same price as yours, AJ, because the Czech are sitting at plus 427 on mine, but Netherlands is sitting at minus 150 instead of the minus 121. That's making up from the draw because the draw is sitting at plus 286. So they definitely think a winner is coming in regulation here. The Czech at the plus 0.75 is definitely a way, and I could definitely see myself on this since I don't have any action on Sunday in the Euros. So the over 2.5 at minus 120 just makes me think like there's going to be goals. I mean, when Schick is just on one, and that's what he's currently is, I just think he can do that to the Netherlands where their defense has been solid and where they've given up the goals, they haven't came from extremely dangerous chances like Yarmolenko and Yarmolenko were both off. I don't want to say won their goals, but they're both from outside the box. So I guess it happens, but that just shows their vulnerability. And the Czech, I know Joey B was on them to advance, so shout out to him for cashing that ticket. Hopefully I don't mush him here. I don't think he's going to be on them, but I do think they show up, and hopefully I don't think they get blown out here. So that's why I'm most confident on them to be a team that advances, and then they just make that part of the path like insanely crazy and very fun.
Okay, so you at the start of the show hyped up the Netherlands, talked about how they outperformed what you thought they're going to do, and now you're just going to drop them?
This is the team that's most susceptible to an upset other than Spain. This is where I think it comes. Wales is also a solid pick here. I also like the Ukraine at plus 232. And then I actually do have a bet on an underdog, but I took their Asian handicap, so maybe that's where I'm most confident in. But just looking at the board, I just think the Netherlands is the team that everyone feels confident, and I think they're setting up well. The public's riding high on them, and I think this is one where it's just going to come crashing down and the Czech do advance here.
Perfect. And I do think you will see this as a Twitter tout special as a Netherlands and someone else parlay to advance, so look out for that.
All right, 2 matches we'll preview before we get to the best bets. We will have covered every match in some sort of way here, so shout out to us, AJ. Let's get to France versus Switzerland. I mean, France is sitting at minus 191, so we might have to rebut where you're saying where the parlay special is going to be. This is potentially where it's going to be at. You got an over 2.5 at a plus 115, which is an under 2.5, extremely juiced here. You can get the +1 on Switzerland, and a little sour because we did lose a bet on France to beat Portugal. I mean, that group of death was just something else, but I think that's what it is. Something in me just says Switzerland's going to hang tough here, and I think I'm going to eat my grapes pretty bad here. But I think Switzerland does pull this one out to extra time, and then France wins by 2, and it doesn't go to PKs. Like, it just gets real bad real quick from them because the biggest thing with Switzerland is how long Shaqiri can go. And I think they've positioned him by the times that they subbed him off to be able to go to full 90 here, because you just see a complete drop-off in play when he gets off the pitch. So that's where I just think Switzerland, as long as he's on the pitch, I think they hang tough. They just cannot get behind because they're not a team that I have any bit of confidence in if they go down 1-0 that they can get there, because they're relying on their counterattack the most. But I think the first 15 minutes will be very nerve-wracking because I think France is just going to throw the kitchen at them real quick. Switzerland will finally be able to get into their shape where they're not just giving France the ball in dangerous places, which I think is going to start early here. So I know there's the bets where you can pick a team to score before the 15-minute mark. Even though I'm higher in Switzerland, I think France would be a decent shot here because these teams that come out in that formation, and Switzerland's the one that I think is the most vulnerable of the teams that are going to sit back this weekend to concede early, and that game could get ugly. But I do think they hang tough. Yeah. Even though I contradicted myself a lot there.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think the big thing for me is not necessarily what France is going to come out, but when do we see that peak France come out where we know they're dominant World Cup winners, everything like that. First game, Germany, absolutely superb match. I feel like everything they wanted to do happened, clean sheet. And then Hungary dropped the ball. And then Portugal, again, another draw. So you're not seeing the France power squad that we expected to absolutely sweep that group away. So do you think this is the match where we see the France come out? I guess a coming out party for them.
Yeah, that's where if they get on the board early, that's where I think it could definitely come out at. And I definitely do think at the same time, if you win by 2 in extra time, that is just as good as winning in regulation. Just getting the 1-0 win in extra time is the roughest part, because if they can bag 2 there, that's all the momentum. I see this as a momentum game for France. I don't think Switzerland advance here. I just think they hang tough as long as they can weather that first 15-minute storm.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I do think this is France's coming out party.
All right, so the most hyped matchup that I think everybody's looking for is Sweden versus Ukraine. Shout out Goose. Going to be rooting for Ukraine here because I just want to have Goose be happy, because you got to just shout out him at any time we can. And yeah, only one blue and yellow team can advance. That's essentially it. And they positioned themselves this way. It just seems like, I mean, Sweden winning the group and facing Ukraine, it just seemed like this was the matchup where it got a little funky, I guess. But Sweden took care of their business. They've looked... I was live on a different show the other day, and I was just like, the most public play was that Sweden pulling under 2.5 because Sweden didn't allow a goal in the run of play, and Sweden only scored off a penalty kick. And I was just like, I see it, but every other person can see that. So I just don't think that was a sharp angle there. And they took care of their business. Forsberg is filthy for them. So I just think this is a matchup where both teams don't play the same style. But I think does this have a juiced over? Because let me scroll real quick. Yeah, it's a juiced over 2. And it just seems like a little bit off of what Sweden did last match, because the draw at plus 212 here, if I had to force a play, I think that's where it ultimately ends up at, because these two teams just play too similarly. I don't think we'll see much action in the first half whatsoever.
No, I feel the same way. I don't have too many thoughts on the Ukraine, but I did catch, I think, 2 of Sweden's 3 group matches. And I think for them, you just park the bus, look for a counterattack with Forsberg, Isaac, and just pray from there.
So before we get into best bets, who gets sold for more money, I guess, after this Euros? Locatelli or Isak?
I say Isaac, and I think he makes a move to Barcelona maybe in 2 years.
Oh, so you don't think he moves this summer? You think it takes another one?
I do think so.
Some of the runs he's had this season with the ball on his foot are unreal. If you haven't watched Isak, it's a easy reason where I'll be tuning into La Liga more if he's still there, because he's been a whole reason why I've caught every one of Sweden's matches.
Yeah, definitely a generational talent. I think he's 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe even younger, but he is a special one to watch in that match.
Any futures you're adding? Anything like that?
No futures I'm adding. I'm just kind of pissed where Portugal lined up. They have to take on Belgium first, so not a good route for Portugal, and my plus 900 future on them. I think odds sit for them around plus 1200, so little decrease in price where I didn't want it.
Yeah, I feel very confident with my Croatia future. Don't you worry. Yeah, right now the France is still sitting at a plus 420 price. Italy's at 600. I mean, don't touch England at plus 650. I don't know what they've done to instill any confidence to be the third highest ranked team there. But with Portugal, they got that third ranked spot. It's where they won 2016 at. So I feel a little bit of confidence there. You lost a little bit of price, but just getting to the knockout stage with a futures ticket is half the battle. So let's hope we get lucky here. All right, yeah. Best bets time. Let me switch this banner real quick. So on the last episode of Line Breakers FC, I went 1 and 2. The Wales pick was the easy winner. That was Croatia played 2 matches ago that they lost, and then Portugal ended up not holding the plus 0.25 against France and got manhandled. So minus 0.88 units on a 1 and 2. That was last Tuesday. That was a while ago.
Yeah, and for me, last Tuesday, I went 2-1. I had France minus 1.5 against Hungary. Very disappointed in that one. Portugal, Germany, both teams to score. Yes, that one came through, I think, in like the 30th minute. And then England, Scotland, under 1. They had their chances. Luckily, England doesn't like to score, so that one came through.
Yeah, I was on a Spaces during that England-Scotland match, and I was just like praying because we did the one live stream. Just don't give me a 0-0 game. Like, give me something, because no bets can cash because no one likes to bet unders on the live Spaces usually. And boom, AJ called that one easy.
Yeah, Under J is not back this week, so excited to see what's to come.
All right, 2 plays for you, 4 plays for me. So I'll split mine up. I'll do 1 Euros and 1 MLS. You'll do 1, and I'll do it that way as well.
Perfect.
So as AJ alluded to, I have a play on Croatia, Spain. Not hedging out that future, just essentially riding at this point because maybe they showed up and the Modric scoring the banger was the thing to wake them up. But I'm taking the first half draw here at plus 113. Yeah, Spain putting up 5 against Slovakia. Game was rigged, obviously. I mean, the dude literally punched the ball in his own net. Like Ben Simmons passes from there, and this dude's slamming it home. So that's just kind of where this first half. My worry is Croatia's legs finally do eventually give out in the later stages of the match, but I do think they hang tough for the first half. I mean, Spain, other than playing I don't want to say poor Slovakia team, I just don't know what got into them that match, and the possession just killed them out. Croatia kind of faced that already with England, and I don't want to say England has an elite striker. Spain doesn't at this point, and that's probably why it took till facing Slovakia to put up 5. But I think Croatia does hang tough, plus 113 first half draw.
So do you see this being 0-0 first half or 1-1?
Definitely 0-0, unless Croatia end up scoring first here. We saw in their previous match when they conceded first, it took them a little bit to get back. But yeah, that's why I'm just hoping that it's 0-0. But if Croatia do end up putting up a few early, I won't be too upset.
So, quick question: why don't you take a first half under then?
I think it was sitting at a juiced -1. So I'd rather just get the plus price, and it is what it is. I don't know. That's probably the smarter angle to take it. I'm just taking the first half draw.
Perfect. No worries. You could go ahead and give your other play out.
All right. Tomorrow night play. You know I'm getting in on the Friday night MLS action. Florida Derby. Orlando City money line. +127. Plus money MLS staying true. This is completely from, Daryl Dike's playing for Orlando City. And he got his first start the last match, and he bagged 2 goals. So he ended up just subbing on in his first match. That was his second match back. So this Miami team, I don't want to say they're in shambles, but they kind of are. And they got 2 red cards the last match. So they'll be without one of their starting midfielders and without their starting fullbacks. So this Orlando team is definitely one that I am very afraid of in the East. And sure, they are on the road, but this isn't a true MLS travel since it's within Florida. So that's just where at a +127 money line on a banged up 2 red card team for Orlando. I think they're trying to appeal the one to George, but I don't know if it'll go through before. So yeah, I'm just going to jump on this money line at +127. The draw scares me, but not enough not to just play the money line because the pick's at -135, and it's only plus money MLS.
Perfect. Rex gave you that reasoning. I do not follow or cap the MLS. I think I gave out one MLS play because I was peer pressured to, and it failed miserably. So.
The next El Tráfico is coming up soon. You'll be peer pressured again, so you might as well just circle that on the calendar or be sick for that stream.
I'll take my red card that stream for that one. But getting back to the freaking Euros, where this is what the show is about. My first play, Italy -1, sits at a juiced -125. My alternative to this play was Italy to keep a clean sheet against Austria. I think that sat at -130. So I'm taking my chances here for Italy to score 2. I do think we see a 2-0 Italy victory. I wouldn't be upset with like a 4-0 victory from Italy as well.
Have you noticed that I haven't bet on an Italy match yet?
Are you avoiding the jinx or the heartbreak, or?
I'm just avoiding it because on our preview stream, I wasn't low on them. I just thought the public was all over them, and we haven't seen them play the style yet, and it's amazing right now. And at the same time, I don't want to say I know that there's a bias when I cap Italy, but there slightly is one. And coming up against Austria, and their prices have just been very over, like -150. I know they dropped to -135 for that one match, but I think it's 9 or 10 straight without conceding 29 goals in that span. Like, it's on amazing form they're on. How long will it last? And I do think this Austrian team is very pesky, and they will make this much tougher. But I hope Italy gets through, and I do see your bet pushing at worst.
Yeah, and that's the angle. Just push at worst. We take those, I guess.
All right, let's do it. England, you're out of here. Germany pick +112. I was looking at them to advance, and that was sitting at like close to the same price. So let's not just sweat the extra time and just let whatever happens there. We're taking the Germany pick. Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, they're both getting braces. It's just going to be pity party for both of those players not finishing for Chelsea. They're just going to come out hard here today. Germany, resounding dub here. Southgate gets fired afterwards. Germany pick +112.
Man, I don't know what to make of that match. I don't know what to make of your freaking pick. See, part of me is okay with England losing, so Southgate can be out for the next World Cup and Euros and beyond. But, I mean, like, what do you like about Germany in this? They tie Hungary, didn't look that great against France. They came out against Portugal, so one of the 3 matches in the group stages was nice. But beyond that, I don't know what you're looking for.
I'm just more not sold on this England team. And I think one thing that they haven't done is built chemistry where they're changing the formations and rotating the players. Sure, it could be smarter in the long scheme that their legs might be a little bit safer. And I remember this Germany side, I would pick them to finish last in the group and maybe too high on them because they impressed me, even though against France and against Hungary, they didn't look ultra convincing. And I could be buying too much stock into that Portugal match, but you can see the potential high of them, and we've seen it already. This England team, I don't have any faith in them yet to put up 3 goals if they need to. And not saying that this one is going to go smashing over, but if Germany do end up getting on the board first, that could potentially be the best for England because they'll make them play outside of the shell that they're in. But I just think at a game where I think this is a true toss-up, it should just be even money. You're going to give me the pick at plus 112, and I push if they draw at the 90. I just like that reasoning just because I think this should be a little bit closer in price. Not saying it's far offline, but I just do think Germany not pulling out the result against Hungary definitely factored into this not being a plus 175 on each way.
Yeah, I mean, I can't not disagree with some of that, but for me personally, it sucks because I'm not high on Germany, and then I'm not high on England as well. So I am lost for this match.
I just think England, this is one of the teams that England doesn't want to see either. Just because not that they're an all-out offensive team. I just think they could, not that Germany's defense is stout, but we've only seen England get one on the board. I just think Germany has what it does just to frustrate the hell out of England, get them into a silly mistakes, and this team can finish when the other sides that they faced haven't. I just think that's the one thing you do need. And even though it's Havertz, it's Warner, it's one of the older players on the German side. They just have the capability to finish. And Gosens, I mean, we were hiring him because we love Atalanta, but boy, oh boy, does he have a great time to have one of those matches again where he's just destroying the backs of England because defending's not their strong suit. So I do think they're vulnerable on the wings, and if Gosens just shows up and is the man again, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, that I definitely okay. Would this match be your match of the knockout stages or Belgium-Portugal?
That's tough. They're both equally as awesome. I just think in different ways.
Okay, fair enough. So, alluding to Belgium-Portugal, I'll go ahead and give my second and final pick. I'm taking Belgium-Portugal over 2.5. Sits at plus 110. You could take a over 2 and over 2.5 to split that for minus, but I thought, hell with that. We'll go with the over 2.5. I just think ex-Manchester United players with Lukaku, Ronaldo on one side, I just don't see how we don't see at least a 2-1 score on either side. It's just too much offense. I do think Finland had a good amount of chances against Belgium in that final group stage match, and I think quality of Portugal will be able to get some goals past Belgium.
Do you know what's the scariest thing of Belgium is when they just like, you know what? We're just going to have fun. We're going to put De Bruyne at the top right wing. We're going to put Lukaku in the middle. And we're going to put Hazard at the top left wing. And then we'll have Hazard's little brother at the left mid. And, like if Portugal had that tough of a time with Germany and they survived France, I just think that was the group of death. Chaos is just going to happen. It always usually happens in that group. And I just think Portugal showed signs, and it's a shame it's Semedo since he's a Wolves player, but he's a huge liability back there. Mm-hmm. And Semedo just could have another rough day. And just the pure attacking power of this, Belgium could easily cover this on their own. And yeah, a 2.5 at plus money. I can't doubt this one.
So are you basically telling me RIP to my Portugal future on this one?
No, because Penaldo always shows up somehow. That motherfucker.
Hey, I'll take that. But to quickly restate, Belgium, Portugal over 2.5. And I think, like I said, too much offense, too much Nelson Semedo. It gets there easily.
All right. I know you saw this one and you've been containing it. We're backing it. All right. Austin FC money line plus 150, baby. Home match. We can back them. Just got thromped on the road by Minnesota, up in Minnesota, at home against Columbus. Columbus was on a double away match. We're going with the Austin FC money line at plus 150. Yeah, I'm going against the champs here. It is what it is. Austin pulls out a result. They opened their first match at home with the 0-0 draw. Let's get the first win. And their sixth stadium that I hope to visit one day, Austin moneyline plus 150.
I think the best part of this pick is if you tuned into Rex, he did a previous stream earlier in the afternoon. He was wearing, I believe, an Inter kit.
No, Union jersey because they won last night against Columbus.
So there you go. He was wearing his light blue and yellow Union kit. And I hop on the stream. I'm like, dude, where the heck is that kit? It's so fly. And he was like, just wait for it. Just wait for it. And that was the moment we were waiting for, him repping Austin FC. Again, I know nothing about LAF. I know nothing about MLS, but they had 9 previous games on the road. So eventually they're going to have to bag one at home.
Yes, sir. Let's recap our best bets. All of them are in plus money. That's where I like to be. Croatia, Spain, first half draw, plus 113. Germany pick, see it, England, plus 112. Orlando money line, plus 127. Friday night MLS, nothing better than Austin money line, plus 150.
Perfect. I got Belgium, Portugal over 2.5. I will be sad if Portugal loses. And then I got Mushing Rex, Italy -1. I see push at worst here, but I do think Italy get a 2-3-0 on the board at least.
Yep. Thank you for all of you tuning in. We were live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Definitely give us a follow on those. Subscribe to us on YouTube so you can catch Durrell's NBA streams. Durrell and Kev NBA show will be coming up shortly to preview the Suns versus Clippers tonight. We got them how to pick them. AJ, I saw you stole my favorite gift today, the Kevin James. Do you think Suns easy tonight?
I wouldn't say easy, but I do love Phoenix, Suns in 4 to take care of business tonight and the next game as well.
Yeah, I mean, this just is setting too much up where the Clippers, they dropped the first 2. This is the one. It's going to set the series. No groundbreaking analysis there. Just bet it live. All I got to say, you can get a +5 or +6. Don't mess around with the even price on each side. But until next Thursday, where we'll be doing the quarterfinals, I believe, since 8 teams will be left because the matches and the quarterfinals kicks off next Friday. So we'll be live next Thursday, just as our usual time. That is episode 33 or 73. We'll see you next week.